Welcome to Integration Innovation, accelerating development with the MISMO API Toolkit. If you're a mortgage industry decision maker or technology professional, this quick overview video will show how MISMO, the API community of practice, and the API Toolkit can accelerate your development. In addition, this information that follows will provide context for our more detailed series entitled How to Fast Track Mortgage Industry Integrations. Part 1 covers the use case and foundational concepts. Part 2 tackles defining the API spec, detailed insights, and best practices, while Part 3 explores the proof of concept and transforming business operations. Next, we'll start with some background information, then Elizabeth Smith will follow with an overview. The Mortgage Industry Standards Maintenance Organization, commonly known as MISMO, creates industry standards and also provides tools and resources that assist in transitioning smoothly to modern API-driven platforms. For non-technical business users watching this series, APIs are simply application programming interfaces that afford mortgage industry partners a standardized method for allowing lender systems to request and receive data and documents via integration. APIs offer numerous benefits to all parties, ranging from greater efficiency and reduced error to faster implementation and transactional turn times. The MISMO API Toolkit is designed to facilitate this transition to modern API-driven platforms, offering a comprehensive suite of tools that simplify the process. This three-part video series is primarily intended for technical audiences as a means to accelerate development of APIs.
The MISMO API community of practice is dedicated to advancing and maintaining API standards within the mortgage industry. This group provides valuable resources, including the API Toolkit, educational materials, and various artifacts to support mortgage APIs. Initially, the API COP focused on REST APIs due to their widespread use, but is now considering expanding its scope to include other architectural styles like GraphQL and webhooks, as they gain traction in the mortgage sector. The primary component of the API Toolkit is a collection of files that conform to the OpenAPI 3.0 specification. OpenAPI supports two formats, JSON and YAML, with the toolkit currently available in YAML. OpenAPI specifies various aspects of the API. However, these YAML files focus on schema objects. If you download and extract the zip file, you'll notice a YAML file exists for each MISMO container defined in the MISMO logical data model. For example, there's a YAML file for address. It defines the properties you expect to see for an address, such as city name and postal code. It also defines an ID, links, and extensions for use within your APIs. Your team can assemble the individual YAML files to craft the request and response schemas tailored to your specific use case. The API Toolkit also contains an implementation guide that's available in the resource library. It covers reference API standards, naming conventions, differences from XML schema, and recommended practices for using the toolkit effectively. So, you're convinced that the MISMO API Toolkit can streamline the development process for mortgage APIs. Where do you go from here? Well, MISMO has a variety of resources to assist you as you leverage the API Toolkit. MISMO has published 2 articles that are available to the public. They were authored with your software engineering team in mind. The first, Getting Started with the MISMO API Toolkit, walks through the process of creating a schema for an API that transmits basic borrower information using the MISMO API Toolkit. The second article discusses defining relationships. It builds on the use case introduced in the first article. It illustrates how to define relationships between API objects. Be on the lookout for a third article that will discuss defining extensions or custom properties in a MISMO-based API. If you're more of a visual learner, we've got you covered. There are 3 webinars available to MISMO members inside MISMO Connect. The first, Introduction to the MISMO API Toolkit for General Audiences. This webinar provides an overview of web APIs, the benefit of standardization, and how the API Toolkit delivers value in your API journey. There's also the API Toolkit for Technical Audiences, which is a technical discussion of the API Toolkit and the process of using it to create a mortgage API. And finally, there's using the MISMO API Toolkit to build your own VIPS code lending API webinar. And this one demonstrates the steps to define and implement an actual use case from the perspective of a business analyst and a software developer. There are also MISMO standard APIs available to the public. We have the VIPS code API, the mortgage insurance activation API, as well as a mortgage insurance estimated rate quote API that are available to both members and non-members. These APIs were built using the API Toolkit. Each API implements the MISMO standard and is ready for service providers to implement in production. The downloads include the Open API YAML files, sample requests and responses, and the implementation guide for that specific API. Work is in progress right now to standardize a title precinct API, so be on the lookout for that as well. MEG 45 is another resource available to the public. Both members and non-members have access, and it provides engineering guidelines for representing the MISMO model using the Open API specification. Finally, there is the MISMO API Community of Practice. Our meeting schedule's on the screen here. It provides you with the opportunity to connect with other professionals in the industry, share insights, and tackle common challenges related to implementing mortgage APIs. Active participation will enable you to stay up to date with the latest standards, products, and guides provided by MISMO. And you'll also have the opportunity to shape the future of standardized mortgage APIs by sharing your use cases and personal experiences. As you continue to innovate using MISMO and the API Toolkit, we invite you to actively participate in this community. Visit the MISMO website to join the API Community of Practice, access additional resources, and share your feedback. Thanks for watching. Keep innovating, stay connected, and let's shape the future of mortgage technology together.
Thanks for watching. Next, be sure to watch part 1 of our 3-part series, How to Fast Track Your Mortgage Industry Integrations.